Hi, I'd like to thank you all for tuning into the Roundtable session, where we'll discuss the impact of NFTs in the music industry. My name is Rihanna, and I work at the marketing department here at Vibrate, and I will be moderating today's extremely exciting conversation. With me on the Zoom are world-renowned techno DJ and producer Umek, his manager and Vibrate co-founder Vasya Weber, and we're still waiting for Vlad Ginsburg, Block's Party CEO. So just give us a minute for him to tune in as well, and we'll get started. But I guess while we're still waiting, perhaps Vasya, if you could just start saying a few words about yourself, your background, so people know what to expect from you.
So yeah, thanks. My name is Vasya, and I've been managing this guy to my left or right, depending on your screen. So I've been managing Umek for, what is it, 10 years, 12 years? I don't keep track anymore. And,
long time.
Yeah, during that time, together with the rest of his management team, he came up with an idea to create Vibrate. So we started as a music analytics company, building the world's largest database of artists, venues, events, festivals, and our music industry stakeholders. We successfully carried out our ICO in 2017, reaching our hard cap in under 5 minutes. And then we started working on the idea on offering a marketplace for artists, so like an Airbnb for musicians. And now we're trying out the idea of booking musicians online through NFTs, and this is why we're here today.
That's great. So Umek, I mean, you probably don't need much of an introduction, but you're definitely a veteran in the music scene and have seen many changes. And now NFTs are the next thing that's sort of switching things up in the music industry.
Yes, yeah, it's been exciting, and it's exciting again. You know, all these new things finally coming to the stage where we can do something groundbreaking, and yeah, this will happen on Friday, and I cannot wait. To have first gigs, live gig, and online gig in NFT. So yeah, exciting times ahead of us.
Great. Well, Vasya, as you mentioned, you've spent a lot of time being a manager in the music industry, but you've also been a part of, the crypto scene since 2017. So I want to say, what kind of musical drops have you seen from artists done so far?
So we just got Vlad joining us.
Vlad,
hello, Vlad. Yoo-hoo.
I was in the audience, and then I got pulled up into the live stream. So
all right.
Thank you guys.
Great. Glad to have you here. So this is Vlad. He's the CEO of Block Party, which is a premier digital marketplace for NFTs. So can you tell us what that is for everybody that doesn't know what a marketplace for NFTs is?
Of course. And I'd be glad to do so. So first of all, Block Party, right? We were founded in 2017 with the idea that NFTs should be common. And that's how I came to know Vibrate, just from the crypto and music world. And also I got a chance to speak at a panel with Vasya at Winter Music Conference. And that's where we, found that we were so aligned in all of our hopes of what blockchain could do for the music industry. And so here we are. So when I say that we were thinking about NFTs as event tickets, it's specifically why NFTs and what is an NFT. And so an NFT, or a non-fungible token, is a totally unique token on the blockchain. And to even make any sense of what that means, first, what's a blockchain? And a blockchain is we're all familiar with the internet. And what's the internet? It's a global network of computers that share information. Well, blockchain is a global network of computers that share a transaction ledger. And that transaction ledger is able to track the transactions of all sorts of currencies that are natively digital. So an NFT is a totally unique token. All that power of the blockchain supporting the transactability of a single unique token. And it's it's an easy concept to understand. Many of us in this webinar today, we own cars, houses, artwork, and you all have certificates of title to those things. And that's how you can think of an NFT. It's a digital certificate of title to a digital asset. And so,
when
please.
when we're thinking about NFTs, we're like, okay, well, what can an NFT be? And also, where can we go? Where can you buy an NFT? Where can you sell an NFT? Where can you showcase an NFT? Where do you get them?
www.blockparty. I mean, where you get them, you know, whereas a year ago, there were, you know, 5, 6, 7 NFT platforms. Today, with all the hype, there are dozens. There's dozens of new ones coming out every month, and also, not to mention, platforms building NFTs on various blockchains. Most NFTs you're seeing nowadays are happening on the Ethereum blockchain. And many of the platforms like OpenSea, like SuperRare, for example, you log in with your Ethereum wallet. And, you know, that's, and you're interacting directly with the blockchain in that way. There are other platforms like Block Party, like Nifty Gateway, that are a little bit more of a custodial experience that, you know, you log in with a username and a password, and you know, and maybe a little bit more consumer friendly. I think that one of the things that I always try to remind folks is that right now, all the hype that we're hearing and seeing is digital artists having their moment. And digital art has been around for decades and decades and decades. Salvador Dali was experimenting with digital art. You know, Andy Warhol experimented with digital art. You see digital art in museums and galleries all over the world, and it has never really been commercial, because how do you prove that you own a digital asset? With NFTs, you now have a digital certificate of title. And so these digital artists are having their moment. Nobody ever got into digital art to make money. It's not a monetized area. And suddenly there's a lot of capital flowing into it. But more importantly, as it relates to this conversation, what's a digital artist? I think Umek can make an argument that you know, a musician such as he, who's been on the scene for so many years, has been working in the digitally native space for much longer than blockchains have been around.
And especially electronic artists, who seem to really be predominant in NFTs right now, and sort of like paving the way for other musicians. But just so we get this clear, I think a lot of questions that I've been getting when it comes to NFTs is like, how do you make an NFT? What's minting? And what are all the gas fees that everybody on Reddit's on about?
Sure. Let's take those in order, right? What's minting? How do you mint? What an NFT platform like Block Party, like OpenSea, like any of these things really is a portal to create a token. You know, in tech, we have a bad habit in tech of using complicated words to say simple things. And so it seems like it's complicated. Minting is creating a token. You know, whereas there was no token, I've now created a token. I've now issued a contract onto the blockchain. Platforms like Block Party, OpenSea, Rarible, etc., are portals by which you can mint and launch a token into the blockchain. And finally, what are gas fees? We all drive cars, and we all pay tolls to use the highway. A public blockchain like Ethereum is, you know, it's open source. Nobody quite owns it. It's owned by the world. And so there's a toll to use this extremely sexy, complicated database. And when lots and lots and lots of people, we should do this with car tolls, by the way. When lots and lots and lots of people are using the Ethereum blockchain all at the same time, it's going to be more expensive to use it. So that way, this blockchain, this internet of transactions can know how to prioritize when there's a lot of people using it. And so when there's a lot of people using the Ethereum blockchain all at the same time, the toll to use the Ethereum blockchain might be very expensive. When we are minting NFTs at Block Party, we try to do it in the middle of the night, because that toll is, as you can imagine, if you're driving the highway in the middle of the night, it's pretty inexpensive relatively.
That's a great analogy. So I just want to go back, Vasi, to the question that we started with earlier. What have you seen musicians do in the NFT space so far?
Well, so far the most prominent is by Umek. No, but well, the two I would select, the two that really caught my mind was first one by Grammatic, another really talented Slovenian DJ who sold his NFTs on Nifty Gateway, and I think the total sum was over 1.5 million US dollars. And I saw his post on Facebook where he wrote, "Holy shit, I cannot believe that I just made 1.5 million dollars selling my music through NFTs," which was a huge relief, as any performing artist has been suffering during the pandemic because there were no gigs. Last gig Umek had was over a year ago, and that came as a breath of fresh air, and as like I said, as a relief for struggling artists. And the other one was Grimes. I wouldn't say that it was a relief for her because I really doubt that Elon and Grimes are short with cash, but it was a really high profile one, a combination of visual and audio art. But all in all, I think that there's much more potential in NFTs for musicians, as we have seen right now, because it was just they're all selling a combination of visual and audio art, but I think that there's so much more utility in it. That's why we're right now testing selling bookings through NFTs. There's also, I think there's a lot of potential in copyright, because right now catalogs of different publishers are resold from publisher to publisher. So sometimes we hear that Warner sold a huge catalog to Universal or something like that. And this is right now, this is reserved for huge publishers, because regular people cannot afford to do that, or they don't know how to do that. But with NFTs, the way I see it is that musicians will be able to transfer the copyright to NFTs and then just make it a commodity. So fans or publishers will be able to buy them, hold them, and get royalties, or just resell it at a higher price. But yeah, I think that we're going to see much more innovation. Still, we're just starting.
Yeah, definitely. Transfer of ownership is definitely one of the utilities that I think music industry should keep an eye on when it comes to NFTs. But speaking just creatively, Umek, what is really the main appeal of NFTs? And as said before, it seems like electronic artists are really at the front line of this new medium.
Yeah, electronic artists, we were always first to grab the technologies available to us, and obviously the music is made by computers and machines. So this is, yeah, the natural path that we took. Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Oh, just what's really the appeal of NFTs as an artist, being creative? Like, what does it mean to you? Like,
so I will just I'm going to talk a little bit my NFTs, and the truly groundbreaking for this time, it's a live gig or even more live stream. Why? Because we are in this pandemic and most of the DJs are just staying home, and we envy anyone else that is playing right now around the world. So obviously Corona is going to change how we not play, but where we play and how do we present our music. And in future I see online gigs and appearances being more used than even a year ago. So by these NFT, we're actually showing how they can monetize their performances, their art, and they can do it from home. And obviously there's a lot of people at home that they would love to listen to a certain DJ and maybe even have a special experience with that DJ or an artist, any musician, a singer or a guitar player. Imagine doing a meet and greet digital one before the gig, talking about the career, maybe have a beer, on the other side of the world, just talk about things. Something like, okay, an express a wish what he would what he would play. For example, I wouldn't play Posing As Me in big venues, but like on online, and there's a certain group of people that would love to hear this song. Why not? You know, it's like it's not going to affect my sets, that so we can tailor these live streams, and who knows when we're going to go back to that fully bookings every weekend, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you know, to play around. And I think this is a nice thing to offer to the market. And then as well, imagine I'm 45 years old, you know, and I'll be honest, you know, it's sometimes it's not that easy to travel every weekend all around the world. So wouldn't be nice, you know, for me if I would have an audience like where I could just schedule like 2 gigs Friday and Saturday, like the online ones, you know, it depends. They could be 1 hour long, or they can be 5 hours. It depends on how much do you want to play, and then just stay home. If you have a family, you can spend a whole day with kids, and then later on you don't need to even travel to actually play. So for me, this is really exciting and something new.
Yeah, so it definitely seems that as the world, went online during the pandemic, and as, live events were out of the question, NFT sort of came at the right time, and also probably adapted quicker because of that. And Vlad, what were the changes that you saw in the marketplace since the whole Corona crisis? Probably NFTs have been, gaining traction with more people being online, just working on things, being creative from home.
Sure. I think, look, I think that it would be disingenuous to pretend that didn't play a role in what happened with NFTs. I think that a lot of things maybe really blew up this past year as a result of us sitting at home in front of our computers. I think a lot of people learned about stocks for the first time, and we're seeing what's happening with GameStop, excuse me. And there's part of that, but well before the pandemic, NFTs got their start in gaming, and you kind of saw the overall transaction market go from like NFTs being invented in like the end of 2016, early 2017, to like suddenly there between CryptoKitties and other games, you have like 40 million transactions, 100 million transactions. It's hard to find industries that are multiplying. It's good enough to find industry that's like growing by 10% year over year, let alone multiplying itself. So eventually NFTs were going to reach a critical mass, which usually happens when things like have a transaction volume of over $1 billion. And we were like halfway there before the pandemic, almost halfway there. So, did the pandemic accelerate things? Sure, without a doubt. But I would offer another perspective. Well before the pandemic, there was a huge craze for people sitting in front of their computers around cryptocurrency called ICOs. Vibrate had a very successful one, right? And I'm broadcasting to you guys from the United States, where everybody had a big party with ICOs, and then one fine day the SEC said, well, you can't do that anymore. That's not, and ICOs went away. But the culture of ICOs did not go away. The culture of crypto fans and blockchain savvy people that have a culture of trading, transacting, FOMOing in, speculating, trading with each other, that culture never went away. And they just needed a new type of cryptocurrency to play around with. And what you were seeing with NFTs in the early days were, and the success of things like CryptoKitties was that same kind of FOMO, get in early, we're all hanging out on Discord talking about things kind of culture. And you're kind of seeing now that type of crypto culture collide with popular culture. And I'm really interested in some of the things that are going to happen when a culture of like traders, gamers, and speculators meet the music business. And I think we're gonna get fireworks. Umek surprised me very much by sharing his age, right? I mean, 45.
I'm next month.
Still innovating.
We look the same age. I'm 10 years younger than you.
No, you look much younger. You can...
Well, look, I mean,
thank you, but thank you.
Well, look, you've been creating music, and you're a worldwide brand. Like, you're not like Umek isn't sneaking up anybody, right? Like, that's a worldwide brand. So when we talk about a booking contract for somebody like Umek, there's that's what we would call in stock trading like a value stock, right? Umek's not going anywhere, and I don't think that. And so if I'm buying an Umek booking, I know the value of that. There's a long track record of shows and music festivals, and we can kind of call the promoters and find out what a hard ticket is for Umek. So what a great innovator and what a great global brand to bring the idea of a gig token to the world. But going back to my previous point, what about the speculators? What about the that trading culture? What about DJs that are just starting? What about DJs that are, sort of like, they're in their 20s, they're kind of like a draft pick, right? They've got a big future ahead of them maybe, but like they're on the bottom of the festival. They're not on the main stage. They're on like 3 p.m. slot in in one of the side stages, and you're like, that guy's gonna blow up. I know it. And you buy their gig token for, let's say, $2,500, $3,000, whatever, and you just sit on it for a year, and then they have that big track, and now you can arbitrage that token. What if, I'll actually, if it's somebody that's an up and comer, there's a speculative play. But if I win an Umek, if I go and I buy that Umek booking contract, I'm like 30% of the way there to throwing a music festival. I can now go get sponsors. I can now start thinking about tickets.
Yep.
Me personally, I'm going to make him fly to New York and like play in my backyard because for a birthday party. But like if I were crazy enough to still be a concert promoter, I would be thinking about, okay, I've got Umek. I can now use this NFT as collateral for the sponsor. I can start selling tickets. I can go get a venue. I'm 30% of the way there to a music festival. And so there is so much more than meets the eye when it comes to this kind of innovation.
I really loved your point that really what's in it for the spectators, and it's not really an artist maybe selling a gig or something, but a person can really, if they know how to utilize this booking or anything, they can really like start something new out of it, maybe even like a career or do like a very interesting business venture or a personal venture. But since we've been talking a lot about booking, I first want to really understand, like, because this changes booking, and I just want to go through like how booking looks like right now, or it did before the pandemic, how much difficult it was than what we're trying to do now with NFTs.
Well, it's an interesting thing. So you have to know the rules, and you have to play by the rules, which means that if you want to book a famous musician right now without any history, you basically don't stand a chance because no serious booking agent is going to talk to you.
Thanks, Fire Festival.
Yeah, they usually request you to send your history of the gigs that you've done, artists that you have booked through the years, and you need to prove that you're worth of doing business with. And they're usually going to request 100% upfront payment, so you bear all the risk. And it does happen that the artist doesn't show up. So whether they get sick or they just get completely wasted the day before and miss their flight, and you're not going to get your money back. So at best, you're going to get what we call a makeup gig, which is going to be on a later date. But you usually spend a lot of money on promotion. So if the artist cancels last minute, you're going to suffer a lot of financial damage. And this is also something that we want to, the problem that we want to tackle with gig NFTs, because one of the features, one of the most interesting utilizations of blockchain is that it can hold funds in escrow up until so you basically pay for the fee, and the artist doesn't get the actual money up until they show up at your gig. And this is how you mitigate the risk from the traditional booking process. But usually it goes like this. So you call the agency, you say, okay, I want to book this artist, and then you negotiate a price. The agency sends over a contract, you sign, you pay, and then the artist comes or doesn't come, and that's it. So, but with gig NFTs, like Vlad said, one of the most exciting things that this is something that I share with you is that basically gig tokens are futures. It's like buying futures. So you buy something cheap, you hold on to it, and right now right now I think that you could get a lot of artists to confirm a booking contract at a huge discount because of the pandemic.
Yep.
But once it all goes away, and it will go away, events come back, the price is going to go up. So you'll have a chance of selling Umek to Coachella for 3x. And this is something that people in crypto really understand. And in our view, a gig NFT is can also be a collector's item. So I hope we'll see collectors who are just gonna collect a lot of booking contracts for a lot of different artists, and all of a sudden they're gonna become like an arts dealer, just buying a bunch of interesting gigs and just selling them on a regular basis, like a company that buys and sells goods. It's how I see it.
As you mentioned, like a whole,
can I jump?
yeah.
Can I jump in here? Like we are already doing this in a way with the record label. What we are doing right now is we are finding the next big producer, and then we try to sign him. So and then we envision the future of him like being really as a big artist in a year or two or three. And this is going to be exactly the same with the gigs. I cannot wait this market appears, and I will go through Vibrate to check the statistics with my knowledge, with what I think which DJ is gonna blow out in like 3 years. I will definitely invest in future gigs of some artists, and it's super interesting for me because I'm doing similar thing for all my life, trying to find the next talent for the label. So super exciting things for me.
But yeah, thanks for reminding me. So that's actually the path that we're taking with Vibrate. So the whole master plan was to first build a database of all music industry stakeholders, and the second step was to build a powerful analytics engine that's gonna analyze data from social streaming sites and ticket providers, which is something that we have done successfully already, and our analytics platform is already live. So now you can go and Vibrate. You can browse through roughly 500,000 musicians, and you can rank them according to their popularity. So and you can predict trends. You can see who's about to blow up, who's raking plays on YouTube, who's getting recognized on SoundCloud, who's getting playlisted across different channels. And then you say, okay, this is the artist that's going to cost 5 times more in 2 years. I'm going to secure a gig right now, and then I'm going to hold on to it. And this is the ideal path that we envisioned for Vibrate. So for discovering artists, then making sure that you're working with the best, or whoever's going to be the best soon, and then booking them.
That's great. So it's sort of like a whole new secondary market where musicians and gigs become tradable, but also from the other perspective, also artists get bookings in advance. So they know once things open up, they will be able to, do their craft, do their job and career. Well, we've been tiptoeing around Umek, your drop now, but now I want to fully dive in and really ask you about your upcoming drop this Thursday. That's happening on Block Party. I want to know from an emotional standpoint what it contains, and also when it comes to pushing the limits. We've been talking about booking, we've been talking about live gig, live stream, but what exactly is going on Thursday?
Yeah, as we already mentioned 2 things. So live gig, live online gig, and then more from the collectible side of the music businesses. It's a Lanicore. A classic Umek track, techno track, one of the biggest tracks in '99. I'm going to give him I gave them 3 new versions, new life to it. I always wanted to do that, and obviously I could do that and release it to the on the vinyl and then and on the digital channels all around. But then like I was always missing that collectible feeling about it. And then I said, okay, now there's finally a marketplace. We need to know it's all cool about NFTs and it's amazing, but what is truly important is the marketplace where people can actually go to the marketplace and find an interesting things to buy, you know, and where you can, and artists can offer their work to the bidders, and then you can actually see how much your art really is worth to someone. And Lanicor, it's really close to my heart, you know. It's one of the 3 tracks that made my career as it is right now. So yeah, I'm really interested in what's going to happen. And again, there are other ways, as we already spoke, how we can see NFTs in the future for musicians. But right now, I was thinking like, what would make sense in these times to actually show my friends, DJs and artists, musicians, what they can do right now, live gigs, online gigs, and like memorabilia as a tracks. Obviously, you can do graphics and stuff like that, but that was done many times already, and nothing bad about it. You know, it's like it's just we wanted to do something fresh, and luckily we are still in the beginning stages of the musical involvement in NFTs, even though, as Vlad says, they are here for many years. But you know, we are catching that moment. And it's going to sound a bit funny or a little bit something from the business side, but I hope we're gonna sell these NFTs for as much as possible. And why I'm saying that, because people are triggered by the cash that was sold for. So all the publicity, we're going to get this publicity out, and then obviously all the magazines will actually be able to put the articles out, how they can monetize their art in these crazy times, how they can do, how, you know, not just staying home and like when is this gonna go you know, by, and when it's gonna be finished. And I'm so excited about that. So I still, like, even though I'm heavily pushing these NFTs, and there are my friends DJs, and they don't ask me questions yet because they're like, we'll see how it goes. They don't see the potential. And let's be honest, you know, like we all the magazines are just like saying, yeah, this NFT sold for this, this NFT sold for that, and this is where we are like, oh, there's something going on. So I hope they will finally realize what we are doing, you know. And I'm ashamed, you know, at the same time saying that the money is going to be like there to show them, and it's like, okay, there's an online gig that I can actually sell. And I can hope that they will finally realize how great these NFTs really are, you know. And yeah, I hope we're gonna do a good job. So all my friends, gonna ask me like how can I do it? Okay, you can do this and that, because right now they don't have a clue, and they think it's just the other thing, like Bitcoin was, like a crypto was, and everybody's just like super smart. Yeah, this is all the bubble. This is going to explode. It's going to be this and that. Yes, it might, you know, it might go a step back, you know, but just to get a bigger push then to show the real value of the NFTs and what you can do with it, you know. And I hope I can at least open some minds to innovation, and they can come up with crazy new innovative ways how to combine music and NFTs.
Great. I can see a lot of passion there, and I can partly think that, Vasya, when Umek approached you with this idea of the NFTs, that, you know, what was your reaction? Probably coming from crypto, it made sense, but really, what were sort of the steps once the idea was born?
So did you ask me or Vasya?
Vasya.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was a question for Umek. So yeah, well, the idea was it was kind of sticking around since the beginning, because our first goal for Vibrate was, like I said, to create an online marketplace for artists. And one of the problems that we wanted to solve is granting access security for promoter and for the artist or the agent by holding funds in escrow. And the idea was born in 2017, and then we kind of kind of paused it because of the bear market, and we were focusing on building our base product. But now we saw the huge opportunity in NFTs because this is the ideal technology to do all those things. So packaging a booking contract as an NFT and basically transferring the right right to the gig on a token is exactly what we wanted to do when we said we wanted to build a blockchain based artist marketplace. And it immediately clicked when we saw the explosion in the NFT space, and hopefully now it's going to go as planned. But I immediately approached Umek with the idea, and he got it immediately, and it took us what, like 3 days to connect with Vlad and his team to plan everything. And I think it was what, about a month ago when we first talked, Vlad, and now here we are. So hopefully if things are gonna get moving even faster once we do a successful test.
So, but tell us, Vlad, how would one bid then on Block Party for Umek's NFTs? How does somebody get Umek to play a live stream for them?
Of course. When the user, a fan, whomever, creates an account with Block Party, they will have a crypto wallet generated for them. Now, when they're ready to bid on the NFT, they will have their choice of bidding with a credit card or with Ethereum. And we encourage everybody to bid with either or both, or whatever they're comfortable with. Once they win the booking contract, certainly they can keep their NFT on their Block Party wallet. And again, that's a custodial wallet. They'll need no crypto knowledge to keep it there. But if we have a blockchain savvy user who wins the gig, they'll be able to withdraw the NFT to their MetaMask wallet and we suggest that the user does that. We believe in decentralization, and above all else, we believe in self-custody. And that's an incredibly valuable asset that somebody's winning. So, we certainly hope that they self-custody it responsibly. When it comes time to call in the NFT, we'll know who you are, because we've seen, we've seen where the NFT traveled from the Block Party wallet into whatever wallet they're using. And as long as the user is able to prove they have the digital certificate of title, then we'll be able to coordinate with the Vibrate team to call in the performance. How that will actually look and feel, that's up to Vibrate to tell the winner but we have lots of fun solutions at Block Party. Right now, the main thing that we're worried about is not traveling Umek to his gig. Right now, the main thing we're worried about is this totally unique first time ever type of NFT sale. And that's why, we're so honored at Block Party that Umek and Vibrate chose to work with us. I think it has a lot to do with the platform that we built having a accessibility, right? You don't have to have crypto knowledge. You don't have to have cryptocurrency. You don't have to have a crypto wallet to participate. The beauty of music, and especially electronic music, is accessibility. It's for everyone. And so that's the opportunity that we're hoping to bring to the world this week. And I think that giving talking a lot about the gig token, but I suspect that these alternate versions of Lanacore are something that are going to be deeply meaningful to an Umek fan. And we want to make sure that we don't discriminate amongst Umek fans on, are you a crypto savvy person? Are you not a crypto savvy person? For us, it's, again, we're always going to come back to the idea of accessibility.
Yeah, Umek, I also know that that's the same reason for accessibility that you decided to, apart from one-of-one edition that's going to be up for bidding, that you also made 2 other versions 1 in 10 editions and 1 in 30, so that your
Yeah.
fans can acquire those. So it really goes to people that are going to share the same emotional values such as you do.
I mean, I would love to own like one-on-one copy of some sort of art. There would be something that I would more value the most, but I think is probably going to be expensive like hell, you know. And I guess only the more richest collectors will be able to afford it, and that's how it is. But I still stick with like, I'd love to have one-on-one copies. This is my personal preference, what I would love to have. But then I was thinking, okay, it's like really unfair to do that. So luckily I was working on other two versions for a long time. So I just had to finish them and said, okay, let's give a chance to the guys, to other guys to bid on 10 of 10, you know, copies and 30 copies of the third version. So this is the idea, you know, just to have more fans involved, and so they have a better chance to own something very special to my heart, you know. And this is how I came up with this idea, you know. So it's not, I mean, it is obviously one version is super exclusive, the other twos are 10 and 30, and there's only 10 people will actually own, and 30 people will own that copies, and that's still rare, but not as one-on-one. And yeah, I just decided to do an option yeah, for 3 versions. But yeah, as I said, again, I would, in my personal taste, and if I am able to afford something, I would own one copy in the whole world, if that would be possible, you know, for me to acquire.
Definitely. Well, before we dive into the Q&A, and I also want to invite anybody that has any questions to type in either the chat or the Q&A box, and our colleagues will sort of help us with the questions. But I just want to ask all of you, you know, if you have any, because I feel like a lot of times unestablished artists might feel that they can compete with big names dropping NFTs. And what would be your advice to them when it comes to that, sort of to get the fear out of the equation?
Vlad, maybe you, and then I'll go.
Sure. I think that, and this is my background as an art dealer talking. And whether you're Picasso or you're a kid in art school, the unsexy but most correct answer is it always starts and ends with collectorship. What's your collectorship? You know, if you're an art school kid and it's your mom and her friends, then that's your base, and build your base from there. If, to answer your question, then if a musician, and by the way, I've dealt with like collectors all over the world of fine art. There's no more passionate collector in the world than the music fan, and I'll stand on that idea. I'll die on that hill. But what my advice to a musician starting out is, and not to get lost in like the crazy multi-million-dollar stuff, is collectorship. Who are your fans? Who are your fans, and what matters to them? What are they a fans of? Who are you as a performer? Are you a performer who has a very recognizable style? You know, lean into that and create something authentic for your fans. Number one, because if it comes off authentic and your fans want to collect it, you will build a foundation of collectorship. Vasya mentioned a moment ago, maybe it was Umek, but somebody mentioned a moment ago that, you know, what happens when like the NFT market crashes. I got news for you guys. The NFT market is like currently crashing. You know, a lot of the secondary markets for some of these like big crazy drops are already down over 50%. We're starting to learn as an audience base that slapping your favorite celebrity on somebody else's art and calling it a collectible isn't really legitimate. You know, like logic's going to win out here, right? So with, you know, so let's take an example from Umek here. Umek has created something that has a tangible market value. That's a performance. Umek has created something that is a beloved song to millions of music fans around the world, and offering something truly collectible about it, which is a different version of it. And he has leaned into accessibility by pricing the entry level stuff in a primary way at an accessible price point. So he has built something that makes sense for his fans and makes sense from a value point of view. So, you know, maybe you're somebody with a couple of thousand, I don't know, I'm gonna give an example. Maybe you're a DJ with a couple of thousand monthly listeners on Spotify, and you're playing the 3 p.m. set at the music festival, but you have like 1,500 passionate fans that like all love one song. There you go. Like, sell the stem to that song. You know, lean into what your fans are passionate about, because authenticity will ultimately win out. Value will ultimately win out. And look, it doesn't necessarily have to be. But last point I'll make is, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a speculative thing. By the way, I would totally suggest you think about doing a gig token, call it Vibrate, right? Because if you're a starting out musician and you have a big career ahead of you, selling access to a performance makes a lot of sense, and making sure that your analytics are being tracked by Vibrate makes a lot of sense. But also consider this idea that sometimes NFTs can be digital merchandise, right? It doesn't have to be like a big crazy collectible. You could just say that every time you perform, you're going to sell 10 NFTs that are relevant to that performance, almost like a digital concert poster. You know, there's a wide breadth of things that you can do, and ultimately, don't worry about the speculation. Don't worry about, like, you know, the market going up or down. Worry about some digital content that's going to be creative and speak for your brand.
That was great. That was amazing. So, Umek Vasya, who wants to follow that up?
I just want to say, like, again, I am quite new to NFTs as well, but I studied them really hard lately. And everybody's expecting that a miracle will happen just overnight. And basically, you have to, you know, prepare your audience to, and it takes time, you know. And obviously, if you're a new guy who doesn't have a big following, it's just a hard work. But that doesn't mean you're not going to succeed in years to come. But it's just, you have to know your following and what you can give them, something special. And I will bring here Grammatic up here, as Vasily said it. He was so surprised. But his success didn't happen overnight. He built a community where he was giving away music freely, before it was cool. You know, he understands where the music goes, and the fans, they just love him. And obviously had a big success because the community behind his back is enormous. And this is where you can actually count on collectibles and something special to be bought by your true big fans. And it's just hard work. It's just nothing's going to happen overnight. And even with my NFTs, you know, it's not something there's going to be only this. I'm already thinking about new things, you know, and all this new stuff that we're going to represent in the future. So I guess we are here to stay. It's not going to be just one thing and bye. It's not that kind of a thing.
Yeah, and I would like to add to this. So value is key. So NFTs aren't a magic wand. So if you're not a good artist, if you're not producing good music or good visual art, you're not gonna sell anything. It doesn't matter how you sell it, because if people don't want it, they're not gonna buy it. And this is why we are thinking about how to bring additional value onto this technology platform. Because there was a lot of and there still is a lot of bullshit sold through NFTs. People are just taking advantage of the hype, and it's an exactly same situation as it was in the 2017 ICO hype, because everyone who got an idea, they just put together a sloppy white paper just describing some crazy idea about flying cars and all kinds of crap. And people were just throwing money at them. And this is the same thing as with NFTs. And much like we tried to do things a bit differently in 2017 when we did our ICO, we were trying to do the same thing now. Because in 2017, we actually already had a working product. And this was a huge factor about why we raised our money so fast in our 5 minutes, because we were different. We weren't just a white paper and a bunch of people with fake photos on a website. And I think that was a crucial value. And the same thing is now. So now we're putting a tangible asset, Umix Gig, or a really rare piece of a really rare track on NFTs, and this makes all the difference in the world. And I think that it's going to stay. It's here to stay, but it's gonna clear out. So the market is gonna clear out the situation. So there's people are just gonna buy things that have actual value. And well, maybe Vlad can elaborate on value on NFTs because he's
Yeah, yeah, and I think I think that another area that you guys touched on for a moment is community, right? And Vasi, you say something very important, which is an NFT isn't like a back, when you arrange 3 letters of the alphabet into such a way, like NFT, it's not going to magically make money. But it is a new world. It's a new world where many of the old rules apply, right? And I saw somebody mention, if there's a point to a unknown artist making NFTs. Well, there's a huge point to it, but you still have to do the work. Like the NFT isn't going to magically make you $1 million. You still have to, you have to do some, you have to sharpen your pencil and do some homework. People that buy NFTs, where did they talk? Where did they meet up online? Where do they get their information? Where do they congregate? And then you have to do the same thing that everybody has to do. You have to do marketing. You have to join that community. You have to get into that community and present yourself, and present your artists, and build and build collectorship. Again, there's that word, collectorship. And so I think what's exciting is that it's a democratizing kind of thing where, if you want to be a dance music DJ, but it's hard for you to get to places where the dance music world gets together, then you're going to have a much more challenging time than somebody that lives in Barcelona or grew up in Barcelona. I don't know. I'm just throwing out an example. But this is kind of, having an online native medium like this does make it possible that you can start building your community around Discord, Clubhouse, places where NFT interested people are starting to congregate. And so I do want to make that note. As far as what brings value to NFTs, I would say that we're going to learn a lot about what brings value to NFTs with this gig drop, because one of the things that we say in the NFT world, which are not always true, are going to get challenged here, right? So one of the big things about NFTs is that you sell a piece of art and an NFT should live forever. But if that piece of art is so big that it can't live on chain and it has to live in an IPFS somewhere, then the token might live forever, but the media might not. If somebody stops paying the bills on the server space, there's going to be a problem. We call that problem permanence. What guarantees the value of this thing for a permanent time period? And where this gig token is interesting is, well, wait a minute. The value of the token is only so long until the performance was called in. And so there's a whole different system of values at play. And I can talk about this like on and on and on and on and on and forever, but actually I I do have a question for Umek, but I'm going to save it for the end, and I'll pass it off to somebody else. Ariana, if you want to go.
All right, now I just want to touch up a little bit on the note of promotion because you mentioned it for anybody starting out. Like, I really like that all of you really two words that stuck out from advice was value and community, which I think is amazing. But I really want to know from somebody that might, have a smaller community and really want to focus and address NFT communities. Where can they find them? You mentioned Discord and Clubhouse, I believe. So where really can an artist go to find people that are interested in NFTs that might help them, or somebody that he can collaborate with, or just help him get started?
Mainly Discord. I think that's where the biggest communities are. There are a number of popular Telegram rooms that are like super, super welcoming. Art Gallery Auction House is one where I always point somebody, run by a fellow named Daniil Pan. Even if you're like, that's somewhere where people are just kind of like trading NFTs, but everybody in there is like super positive and just ask a question and you'll get pointed in the right direction. Twitter, crypto Twitter is a big one, just hashtag NFT, and you'll get a lot of crazy questions. The community is out there, and the community is certainly very, very active. Block Party, by virtue of being a platform that accepts credit cards and makes it very easy and accessible, and all the things I've already said, we're here to convert as many music fans into relatively educated NFT users quickly. So, Block Party's Discord, Block Party's Twitter, we're always there to help. You don't have to go buy NFTs from us to get our attention. We want to educate, and that's what we hope to do. So it's a surprisingly warm and welcoming community. I promise you that.
All right. Well, that's great. I think it's definitely time to dive into the Q&A because there's a lot of questions. And I have a fun one here. A Locus asked if Umek, would you ghostwrite Elon Musk's techno NFTs?
Yeah, for sure. Why not?
All right. So you're saying it's a chance. Great.
There's always a chance for things like this. So exceptional.
All right. Mark asked if can someone also speak to the idea of multiple people having ownership of one NFT? Vlad, I think you'll be the one to answer this one.
Yeah, that's the next place where in my opinion, we're still very early in NFTs, and the technology, as happens quite often with technology, is there a lot of what's in the media and a lot of what's in the hype is what the technology could do, and the state of the technology is still kind of catching up. And the next big step that technology needs to do is multiple ownership of NFT, but also we haven't really covered today yet how one of the most important things about NFTs for artists is that as they get resold, there's the potential for the original artist to be getting a residual revenue from the smart contract. I think a really big and important next step is that artists collaborate on art all the time, and a smart contract splitting royalties to the collaborators that created the artwork. And also, we talk about in the NFT world, the original artist can get a residual revenue every time it's resold, and we conveniently leave out that as long as it's resold on the same platform that you originally bought it on. So I do think that the industry needs to make take a step forward in a common standard of smart contract that will work. You buy it on Block Party, you sell it somewhere else, or vice versa. That the original artist is still able to get the royalty. In Block Party's case, our smart contracts are open compatible with OpenSea and Rarible. So I would say that if you miss out on Thursday or Friday, you shouldn't, because you might never get this opportunity again. but there will be some different platforms where the user can acquire one of these NFTs.
Great. I like that you mentioned the whole reseller market, because I think it's sort of not as developed as basically just minting and selling an NFT. It's sort of like lagging behind everything. People aren't. It's not really that mass established yet. Is what we're sort of aiming for as well, so that people will be easily able to transfer what they buy. Maybe even multiple owners. If we're talking about maybe fragmenting an NFT, if that's a thing that can be possible. So what can we really, in which way is currently the whole reseller market going? Or maybe in which way should it go?
Well, I mean, there are some very early experimental stuff going on in that I've seen prototype, fragmented and sharded NFTs. I think that platforms like Async are doing really interesting things with programmatic NFTs that, something about them might change given some future event. That's really exciting, and something that is something that we're working on Block Party is really legitimately tying a physical object to the NFT. There's a lot of stuff that can happen, and I think it's going to happen where, and I think I'm seeing a lot of questions on this, by the way, in the chat, but I think the number one question we have to answer for is also, what are we going to do about sustainability and environmental impact of NFTs? If you guys don't mind, I'd love to speak on that for a second. The NFT that is being minted for this sale will ultimately live on Ethereum. It is an Ethereum NFT. And the Ethereum blockchain is a proof of work blockchain that does burn a lot of electricity for its mining. Block Party, however, operates our own custodial private blockchain that acts as a provenance layer, but also will actually, at the moment of the sale, no emissions will be generated. We are minting the tokens on our private blockchain, and then also having a placeholder on Ethereum. So in this way, this is an environmentally conscious drop, and I think that's an important thing to mention. And also, we're thinking about, I think while we all wait for layer 2 solutions and ETH 2.0, there are proof of stake blockchains like Flow that Block Party writes to, and there's I would say that the industry as a whole is taking the environmental impact issue seriously, but I think the dance music industry as well, cares a lot about that. So I'm glad that we have the opportunity to showcase some of our more sustainable practices for this kind of drop.
Yeah, and I agree. As you said, I think the whole NFT community is very conscious about it, and there's a lot of money being donated to this issue as well. But this, and also the whole reseller thing, just goes to show and prove how new everything is. So there's a lot to figure out in this space yet, but it's definitely worth diving in for artists and anybody that's creative. So I have another question from Marco Bratner. He asked, as an artist, how can I sell an NFT for live stream, and where can we promote it for bidding? Vasya, can you answer this one?
Yeah, so right now we're doing this exclusively for UMEC because as any startup out there, we need to try out the interest before we launch a full platform. So if this goes well this week, and if we get a lot of bids, and if the word spreads around, then we're gonna do another job and another job, and then if we're really sure that this is it, then we're gonna introduce a platform where anyone could sign up and mint gig NFTs. But while we're at it, I spotted a really interesting question in the chat, and I don't want it to be missed. So Paula is actually asking, apparently she's a booking agent based on what I read, because she has apparently a lot of domain knowledge. And she's asking what if someone resells a gig NFT to someone who you don't know. So you never know who's going to be the one who's going to cash in and get Umek to play their gig. And how do you make sure that everything is done according to the contract and the artist is safe, which are all legit questions. But it's really important to emphasize that the NFT here is just a mean of payment, and it holds the right to the performance, but it doesn't mean that you don't have to take care that the artist is safe, that the tech and hospitality rider requests are met. It's basically you have to follow all the rules from the industry, and the artist has the right to decline a gig if any of those rules are met. So you cannot have an artist play your gig if you don't have a sound system, or if the artist doesn't feel that if the artist doesn't feel safe. So if I don't see Umek going to play, I don't know, in Syria right now, or I don't know where, at some other unsafe area in the world, and you will still have to sign a separate contract that's going to detail all the technical specifications and all the requests. So it's still going to be, you still cannot just throw away the whole traditional system and just say, okay, we're just going to handle everything with NFTs and smart contracts, and everything is going to be done by robots or automatically. There's still a human factor. So this is really important here. So you cannot get an artist to play at your place if you're not going to meet all other requirements. Payment is just one of the requirements.
Yeah, you paid for the gig, but you also have to ensure the, you also have to get ensure the performance and do all the things that promoters do.
Yeah, and in most of the cases, the artist doesn't know who they're playing for. I don't know, Umek, how many promoters you know in person, but as far as I know from your gig history, we had a bunch of different people, from super professional ones to really weird ones, and in 100 gigs, there's gonna be one or two really extremely weird ones. And this is something that you can control to a certain extent, but you're still gonna get surprised if you get a lot of gigs.
Umek, I can see another question here for you. Is Gatek's NFT coming soon as well? Oh, you're muted. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, didn't unmute it. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Gatex and Lanicor are there. Like they were released in similar time frame, and both are responsible for a big percentage of my career. So yeah, I have a no. I'll shut up. Maybe. Yeah, interesting thing. Yeah, definitely.
So I see we still have questions of what's the advantage of using NFTs for live gigs. I think maybe we can just try to really explain how it benefits the artist as well.
So yeah, there are a couple of benefits. So first of all, anyone could buy it. So we want to make sure that even if you're a fan, and like Vlad said, if you want Umek to play at your birthday party, now we have a chance. We're doing this because usually we would turn down those offers, honestly. And the other one is safety. So we're testing the NFT without the safety feature, I must say, but later on we're going to implement it in full. It's going to hold funds in escrow, and when the artist is going to show up, the promoter is going to burn the token, and this is going to trigger the transfer of funds to the artist's account or the crypto wallet. So that's the second one, and the third one is speculation. So you can buy a gig right now, hold it for 3 years, and then sell it for 10x to a huge festival.
Yeah, can I jump here? Basically, so like because of Corona, obviously it's going to affect all the prices of an artist, and I'm sure the prices will go down for at least 50%. And let me tell you, a lot of artists are struggling right now. And if they would have a marketplace where they can offer the gigs and they would be able to pay their bills for the period of the Corona, I'm sure you would get them for a really nice discounted price, like anything else in tough times, you know. So like right now, you could, yeah, if there would be a market, I'm sure you could get any DJ for, let's say, between 30 to 70% of discount, and you just wait a little bit, you know, that everything comes to normal, and then there you go. Even like a safe investment in a DJ, which is around for many years right now, would bring you a nice extra fee on top of it when you sell it in 2 or 3 years. So it's almost like a safe investment.
I see Ivan asking that as an electronic producer, can we sell our track as we do with labels? So sell just an audio file.
Okay, I'll answer that. Yeah, why I would love to answer this question. So basically, right now everybody's thinking, okay, I have this track lying down on my desktop, you know, and on my hard drive. It's just like, would I sell that, you know, and would somebody buy it? So basically, I doubt that a lot of people would buy those NFTs. As we spoke already today, they need to be something special. Believe me, I have 100 tracks unreleased there in sort of in the stage where I'm still making them. Then I could offer to them, but it's not a special enough thing, you know. So like, think about it, what's really special. So just throwing out the regular tracks in burning them into NFT and thinking, oh, I'm gonna earn $10,000, is just not gonna happen if you're not a big artist. So think in terms of what it's really special. What's that thing that I've created, and it's super special, and then you have a chance. Sorry to jump in like that.
Oh, that's it. As we mentioned before, we really put value and community as the two main centered things. Chris is also asking, is selling an NFT as simple as creating art, uploading it to a website, and making money from a buyer? So again, if we can go through the process.
Well, making art doesn't sound so simple. There are a few platforms out there that are sort of DIY platforms that allow you to make your own content. OpenSea and Rarible are the most popular ones, where you set up an account, content, and then their system will mint the token for you. And I definitely recommend everybody just go and like play around with it. Just mint something for free. Just try it out. And I think that it's no different than a medium in that sense, right? You can go and draw on a piece of paper, or you can go create digitally. It's about how you showcase to the world. I would argue that how do you showcase your photograph to the world? You take it, or your selfie. You still have to open Instagram, set up an account, go to the upload page, and upload your selfie, and then hit send. It's not quite so simple, but I don't think materially it's something that you've never done before if you have used Instagram.
All right,
Vlad, I have a question here. So in terms of Ethereum gas being really expensive, do you think this is a good thing? In terms of, because Ethereum, you need to pay, I guess, let's say $50 to $70 to burn it. Is this a filter for the artists, thinking like, I have to burn something really cool, so at least cover the expenses of the gas, or do you think it's really cool to have a chain which is super cheap, and then everybody's just throwing in like the unreleased track that none of the labels took them, and they just trying their luck?
It's a great question. It's a really good question, and to be quite honest with you, my answer is that you have to be able to do both. You can have a photograph that is distributed 1 million times, and it's the same ink and it's the same paper as a Cindy Sherman, which is very different. It's about what you do with it. I don't think that all NFTs must be super rare, crazy expensive NFTs. I think that the same primitive, the same technology, it should be applicable for a whole new way to think about merchandise. I encourage musicians to get on the road and musicians already sell posters, hats, t-shirts, whatever at their shows, and that's dumb merch. Once you sell it and you make your money, now it's like it's in the back of somebody's closet. You'll never hear from that thing again. Maybe it emerges on eBay. The cool thing about an NFT reimagined as digital merchandise is that it's a smart piece of merchandise, right? It lives in somebody's phone. We can start having conversations about rewarding fans and tracking fan behavior, and that's a whole different avenue, and that's meant for very broad distribution, very sort of like entry-level price point. So you can't sell a $50 NFT when gas fees are $30. That doesn't make any sense. Merchandise, as you guys know very well, is already a razor-thin margin business. So there are some chains where gas fees must be low and distribution must be very high in number, that a proof of stake blockchain makes a lot more sense. When you jump back to Ethereum, and certainly a $30 gas price doesn't seem very high when you're spending $10,000 on a piece of valuable art. And but you know what? When I ship something to my parents, I pay FedEx like $10 to do it. When I ship a painting from Sotheby's to my warehouse, it costs like $10,000 to do that. There's a very different. I don't want to get too much in the philosophy here. I know a lot of our audience today is not necessarily crypto savvy, but the wonderful thing about a decentralized blockchain, a truly decentralized blockchain like an Ethereum, is the right to self-custody. And once you own your NFT, it is truly yours. And so I think that's a advantage and a benefit worth paying for. And I think sometimes when you pay for the right for something important like self-custody and like ownership, you tend to really get serious about getting what you pay for, which is something artistic and unique and special. Like, we're not talking about digital merchandise for the UMEC drop on Thursday. We're talking about a world famous song with totally unique remixes of it, and we're talking about a bookable performance. I think that those things are unique and highly valuable enough that they're befitting the price that you spend on them. And so I think that, but like I made with the example of the photograph, right? One photograph could be a Cindy Sherman, cost millions of dollars. Another photograph is, copied a million times, same ink, same material, very different artistic value, and and then I encourage everybody, especially the newcomers to blockchain in this live stream, to not be intimidated by the ideas of a blockchain. These are softwares that do beautiful things, but software is only as good as what you ask it to do. And Ethereum is like, as Umek said, it's like it may be expensive to use, but it is decentralized and it does confer certain benefits. But when we think about things like digital merch and inexpensive blockchains, we have the benefits of very broad distribution and reimagining a whole new different type of event merchandise.
Right, that's great. Mark also has, I think, an interesting question. Will all music, video, and art become NFTs in the future? Is everything going to get, digitalized and then transferred, sort of where you do have a collectible or an ownership rights to everything that's being created online?
I mean, I think so, but who cares what I think, right? I think, I think we live in an increasingly digital world. We don't even realize how much of our lives are digital, from seeing especially in the pandemic, from seeing what our friends are up to the content we consume. It's all just kind of digital. And I don't want to get into a whole like soapboxy, let me tell you about the future of the world. Let me just ask you guys one question. How much of what you consume on a day-to-day basis is purely digital, and how much of it do you own?
Yeah. Well, that's actually a really good point because I mean, Umek can share his experience because he started as a DJ playing vinyls, and now so DJs back in the days they had to travel with a bunch of really heavy suitcases because they had physical
Yeah, but
music on
I didn't own that, the labels
vinyls,
owned
and
actually.
now it's all digital. You have
The labels
what?
owned the vinyls and stuff. And actually I'm trying to think how much I own. I do own few songs in the digital form, and they are actually mine. And it's gonna be hard. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to put ownership of what was released before in a analog era to the digital one. So the transition is gonna be long. So Vlad, when you ask me, oh no, the question was, in my opinion, if everything is going to be digital in NFTs in the future, it might be, but from this point on, when people realize they don't need to have labels anymore and all this kind of stuff to actually sell the music in the future. Sorry that I just jumped in, but
Yeah, but that was when I was referring to vinyl. So you actually had a piece of you had a physical thing in your hand, and sometimes it was one out of 100 released vinyls, and as you held on to it, its value grew, and maybe there are three pieces of that vinyl left today, and its value is much higher
and
than when you bought it. But if you own a digital version of that track, anyone can own it, and it has zero value. But if you put on an NFT as a certificate of authenticity, and if it's only one such token in the whole world, then you actually own the equivalent of the vinyl that I was referring to. So you actually have one unique thing, and this is only possible with
There's
such technology.
there's a vinyl. By the way, last year vinyls outsold CDs for the first time. How cool is that? To me, that's a validation of people do want to collect and own something. Vinyls have so many vinyls in history have beautiful vinyl sleeves, and our collectible, it demonstrates that there is still very much a market for collectability. I mean, I'll bite. There's an album that I own that that is available on eBay for like thousands of dollars. But I tried with the inspiration of a friend to not give in and buy it on eBay. I was only going to buy it if I found it in a record store somewhere, and I finally found one in Japan.
wow,
And
how's that possible, man?
it's an album from where the album art is drawn by an artist called George Kondo, who today sells for millions of dollars, but back when the album was released was kind of like a no-name artist. So it's like really hard to find this album. And that's the excitement. Like I have this album, I'm not going to play it. It's like framed. And there is an exciting thing about collecting. I saw somebody ask in the Q&As, isn't the point of music to spread as maximally as possible? It's not a philosophical question, it's a business question, right? The economics of selling CDs are, yeah, you try to sell as many CDs as possible for, to make as much money as possible. You have the Spotify model, which breaks up the need for CDs into streaming any song. And this business model is about extremely broad distribution and low unit economics. And where I would counter argue that then what's the point of concerts, right? The business model of concerts themselves are highly collectible. If I think of the times that I've been to a music festival, those are rare experiences, and so they happen infrequently, and the ticket prices are often much higher than than what I'm spending for purchasable music. So I think that the idea of collectible music is a business idea. there's a market for collectibles that exists. And, I think that there is, and I think that what Umek is doing here is tapping into that market by selling something rare and collectible, and that and it's simply a different business approach, it's a different audience.
And I also think there's one thing that we kind of missed out on, why it is a collectible, the Lani course, because the logic files of the track will be destroyed.
Yeah, this is what I was thinking. Like, how can I guarantee that this thing is not going to appear online somewhere? And I was thinking, yeah, let's destroy this, and it's going to feel even more special to the guys who are going to own it. It's like, even I will not be able to play that track in my sets. It's that is so exclusive, And as Vlad said, one thing is releasing stuff for promotion, because I see the music as a promotion as well. These days you don't earn that much, at least not artists from the techno community, from the sales. And I see it as a promotion. And obviously I want my track to be played as much as possible for many DJs around the world, and I want to have as much as possible plays on YouTube and Spotify. But there's this one thing: I want to be involved in a market where I can release all these really super cool special things. I just want to be the part of that. And this is just me, how I feel. And let me tell you, I'm a collector of big sneaker collector, and I own some pretty crazy sneakers, maybe like 5 in existence. I guess I have one, probably sneakers that I own. I'm the only one in the world, like test copies and stuff like that. And I know that value of collecting. And this is when then obviously the logical progression in my mind is like, I want to offer something super, super, super exclusive compared to the stuff that I release. I release quite a lot of tracks are there on the market for me, but that's my techno world, my promotion side. And then this is the collectible side of what I do. And as well, from this drop, I hope I'll show the techno community what they can do if they created something super special in the past, and they can offer something rare and exciting.
That's great. Well, I think I just want to make sure and go ahead and screen share for anybody that is watching, so that they know where they can get more information about the drop. I know my colleagues have been posting the link in the chat as well, so we can see there's only 2 days to go and 1 minute, and we've been talking quite a while. And I just want to thank everybody who's still, still here with us. And if you want to hear us talk some more, Vlad, Vasya, and Umek will be talking again just an hour before the drop at the pre-party, so you can get your invite right here. But I guess, Vlad, now it's time for that question that you were saving up for Umek for the end.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So I've heard from a number of people in dance music that both performers, DJs, as well as media that are now like fully down the rabbit hole of NFTs. And what I've heard over and over again is that NFTs, like music and NFTs, all this stuff right now kind of feels like dance music before it blew up in like 2010, 2011, with the same kind of like underground excitement going global. Everybody's like collaborating with each other. Is that true? How do you feel?
Yeah, man, you couldn't said it better. I think it's super exciting. And what I noticed, when you do a collaboration in the techno world with a certain artist, you need to be really careful with who are you doing this collaboration, because they're gonna badmouth you like really, really fast if you collaborate with an artist which is, let's say, a little bit more commercial. But what is happening right now with NFT, and I think I see it as a really cool thing, they are connecting artists which were before unconnectable, and everybody's super excited, and they're just throwing the ideas. It's like we are all the small kids, discovering this thing as the first thing as we dove into dance music. And it's exactly as you said, super exciting. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of exciting collabs happening, which we will not expect at all, because there's no boundary yet, but believe me, sooner or later, the black techno guys, I mean, black dress guys, will say, yeah, I do just this, I do just that. That's the way I want to go. And let's enjoy these collaborations with open-minded people, while we can.
I love the sentiment that NFTs are connecting the unconnectable. I think we got a lot of really good phrases out of this talk, and I just want to give you all an opportunity to, if you want to give a final thought to the audience or anything like that, a final statement before, apart from, of course, everybody tune in on Thursday and let's see what happens after the drop, right?
Yeah, I would love to say to all the artists, DJs, musicians, I hope you understand what kind of possibilities are ahead of you. Please don't be ignorant. Don't be like, yeah, there's just a bubble. There's just this thing that nothing's gonna change. This is just for the big names and the rich people. It's not. It's something that is gonna change. Come on, it's already changing. The music business and the digital art and everything. So please don't be blind.
All right, Vasya.
Well, yeah, he said it all. So just keep track of how technology is moving. We usually joke that in music business, the B2C segment has seen immense technological advances. So we moved all the way from vinyls through cassette CDs to getting access to hundreds of millions of songs in your car through Apple Music or Spotify. But at the same time, the B2B segment of the music business, it just kind of got stuck in the 90s. So it's really low tech, and we're here to change that. So we're aiming to change the business perspective of the music, not the consumer one. And this is one of the many tries that we're trying to do. I think we're trying to do with Vibrate, just focusing on not so much on the fans, but more on professionals.
I will thank you, Vasya, and I think that's an inspired thought. The parting note I want to leave off with is we've said a lot in the last hour about UMEK, about the economics of the B2B, about how special Linecore is and remixes, and I want to leave off on the note of value, right? I think music and blockchain and art are my passions, and before Block Party, I was an art dealer for many years, and I know the art market very, very well. And I know everybody with NFTs, especially with music, asks, well, what rights do I get with it? Anybody, like it's only for me, or do I put it on YouTube, or this, that, or the next thing? And it's a red herring. Like think about an artist that everyone's heard of, Andy Warhol, right? And what's his most valuable artworks? Marilyn, right? The Coke bottle, the Triple Elvis, artworks that everybody has seen a million times. Millions of people have posters on their walls of it. It's, you can consume that image online, cheaply a million times. Hell, Warhol made 8 Marilyns and a whole bunch of different versions of them. And they're way more valuable than Warhol's one of ones that are much bigger, that you can only see in a museum somewhere. Oftentimes in art and collectibles, it's the valuable stuff is the stuff that everyone in the world can see, hear whenever they feel like it and have access to it, but you own the original. It feels counterintuitive at first, but if you study art history, that's where the value is. When I think about a tune like Landcore, sure, anybody can pull up Spotify and hear it, but when you own a unique version of it that is a collectible, consider the value of owning the original that the world has heard. And I'll leave you guys on that note.
All right, great. I think we had a really amazing conversation, and I really appreciate the input all three of you put when it comes to music, to NFTs, combining both, and just being creative in general. And I think anybody that tuned in really had a lot to take in. But I think it was fun and captivating, and hopefully it inspires people to just go in and explore in music and NFTs and just be creative. So. Yeah, thank you all for taking the time to having this session, and see you on Thursday.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye.
Thank you again, Vibrate.
Bye. Thank you.